All right, so get that we're diving deep into Limitless today.
Oh, okay.
But not the movie itself.
Oh.
It's the reviews.
The reviews, okay.
Yeah, what people are saying about it.
Yeah.
We got a whole stack of IMDb user reviews.
Interesting.
And it's so fascinating to see like the different ways people reacted to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's sitting at an 8 out of 10 rating overall, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
But there are some like seriously strong opinions.
Oh, wow.
On both sides.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's going to be a fun one.
Well, that's what I love about these user reviews.
Yeah.
It's like you get that raw, unfiltered reaction.
Right.
It's not like professional critics. It's just everyday people who decided to share their thoughts.
Exactly. And I think we're going to find some interesting ones here.
I'm sure we will.
Let's jump right in.
Okay.
One review that really stood out to me was this one actually compares Limitless to a superhero movie.
Really?
Like Iron Man.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, and at first I was like,
Yeah.
what?
I mean, it's a thriller, right?
Right, but when you read it, it's not as crazy as it sounds.
Okay.
This reviewer was really impressed by how believable the movie felt.
Mm-hmm.
Even with that whole, mind-blowing premise.
Oh, yeah. The whole pill that unlocks your full potential.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they point to the way that Eddie's transformation happens in the film.
Oh, okay.
They said it's not instant. He struggles, he makes mistakes.
Right, it shows like the downsides too.
Yes. And the film doesn't shy away from the darker aspects of his newfound abilities.
That's a good point because it would have been easy to just make him like this perfect superhuman.
Right.
But the fact that he's still flawed makes it more relatable.
Yeah, and this reviewer also raved about the performances.
Oh, yeah. Bradley Cooper and Robert De Niro.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They said those two really helped make the whole thing believable.
I can see that their performances definitely added to the film's credibility.
Yeah, and they even called out the cinematography and the direction.
Oh.
Yeah, they said they were really well done and made even the craziest stuff feel grounded in reality.
So they felt like they were really pulled into Eddie's world.
Exactly.
Seeing things from his perspective.
Mm-hmm. They said it made his accelerated thought processes and heightened senses almost tangible.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So they pretty much loved it.
They did, but there was one little thing.
What's that?
They did mention that the second to last scene,
Yeah.
they felt it was a little overblown. Almost like it was trying too hard to be like a Tarantino moment or something.
Okay. But even with that, they still liked the film.
He did. Yeah, they still considered it a great movie overall.
It's interesting how even a small criticism like that can stick out,
Right.
but it doesn't necessarily ruin the whole experience.
And then there was another review that I thought was really fascinating.
Okay.
And this one delves more into the philosophical side of the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it asks this really thought-provoking question.
Yeah.
What if you had access to a pill that could unlock the full potential of your mind? Who would you become?
Wow, that's a heavy question.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It makes you think about
Yeah.
the nature of identity and ambition and all that.
It really makes you think about what truly holds us back.
This reviewer was really captivated by the idea of experiencing that super shoe
Yeah.
and how the film uses visuals to actually portray that heightened state.
Yeah. I mean, the visual effects were pretty impressive.
Right. They were praising them for how they really immerse you in Eddie's perspective.
So you actually feel like you're processing information at lightning speed.
Yeah. And connecting ideas that you never would have thought of before.
That's cool.
Yeah. This review also highlighted how the film explores themes like self-improvement and find your true potential.
Right. So it's not just about the action.
It's a classic what-if scenario that I think a lot of people can relate to.
Definitely.
But even with all the praise, this reviewer wasn't completely blind to the film's flaws.
Oh, really? What did they say?
They pointed out that the supporting characters weren't as well developed.
Okay.
And that some of the scenarios were a little far-fetched.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that.
Yeah, not every film can be perfect in every way.
True. But it's interesting how even those who love the concept and the visuals could still see those weaknesses.
Right. It shows that a good review can still be balanced and nuanced.
And that not everyone's going to have the same reaction.
Exactly, but we're not done yet.
Okay.
Not all the reviews were glowing. There was one that was much more critical.
Oh.
This reviewer actually called the execution sloppy.
Sloppy?
Yeah, and the ending contrived.
So they didn't hold back.
They didn't. So I'm curious, what exactly did they mean by sloppy?
Well, they pointed to specific things like convenient coincidences and underdeveloped character motivations that kind of moved the plot forward in a way that felt unnatural.
Okay.
They also felt like the ending was rushed, Like the filmmakers just wanted to wrap things up neatly without earning it.
So it's not that they just disliked the ending itself,
Right.
but they felt it wasn't set up well by what came before it.
Exactly. But even with all that, they admitted that the movie's concept is just too captivating to ignore.
It's like you can't help but be drawn into the story,
Yeah.
even if you see the flaws.
And that reminds me of another review
Okay.
that summed up that feeling perfectly with just one line.
Oh, was it?
Apparently the pill gave him intelligence, but not imagination.
Ooh. I like that one.
Right.
Very clever way to put it.
It's a concise way to criticize the plot, but it doesn't completely dismiss the whole film.
Right.
It acknowledges that there's still something interesting there.
Exactly. And it highlights how hard it is to create a truly believable story
Yeah.
around such a fantastical concept.
You have to strike that balance between exploring the possibilities and keeping things grounded.
It's a tough tightrope to walk.
It is.
But not every review focused on the plot.
Hmm.
There was one that was completely drawn in by the film's pacing and originality.
Right.
Yeah, they called it a taut and original thriller.
Mm.
And they found the premise itself, like the idea of this pill that unlocks your full brain potential, to be just inherently gripping.
Okay.
They were really invested in the suspense of seeing how Eddie would use his ability and what the consequences would be.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they also made an interesting observation about the film's focus.
Oh, what's that?
They noticed that it doesn't really delve too deep into the moral implications of superintelligence,
Interesting.
but it still delivers a really credible and suspenseful experience.
So it's more about the entertainment than the philosophical exploration.
Yeah, it seems like the film prioritizes the thrills over, deep moral questions.
Which makes you wonder, can a film be both thought-provoking and purely entertaining?
Yeah.
Or do those two goals sometimes clash?
That's a good question.
It is.
But, we're just scratching the surface here.
Oh, yeah, we've got so much more to cover.
What about those who were blown away by the pure visual spectacle of Limitless?
Oh, there were definitely those who were captivated by the film's style.
Okay.
One review just raved about the cinematography, the seamless transitions, the overall visual appeal.
Wow.
Yeah, they even compared it to Match Point.
Match Point.
Yeah, in terms of the intricate dynamics at play.
That's an interesting comparison.
I know, right?
Those are very different types of films.
Yeah, but they were drawing a parallel in terms of the visual storytelling
Okay.
and how the film uses camera work and editing to create a specific atmosphere.
So like a shared visual language?
Exactly. And they were also deeply impressed by Bradley Cooper's performance, highlighting his ability to convincingly portray both the panicked addict
Yeah.
and the conversationalist genius.
He really had to show a lot of range in this film.
He did, and it sounded like he pulled it off.
Yeah. And speaking of pulling things off,
Yeah.
another review really praised the more technical aspects of the film.
Oh, like what?
They loved the fast-paced editing, the dynamic camera work, and how the soundtrack just perfectly complemented the action.
It sounds like they appreciated the craft of filmmaking.
They did, and they actually said this, quote, "Limitless is another movie that has merits that ignore the flaws."
I like that.
Right.
It acknowledges that no film is perfect, but sometimes the strengths just outweigh the weaknesses.
And those strengths can be different for different viewers.
Right. What resonates with one person might not even register with another.
It all comes down to individual taste and perspective.
Exactly, and that's what makes these deep dives so fascinating.
Right.
We're seeing Limitless through the eyes of so many different people.
Each bringing their own unique lens to the experience.
Yeah.
But let's not forget about those who found fault with the film.
Of course.
One review was particularly critical of the predictability and lack of moral depth,
Okay.
calling out plot holes and questionable actions that were portrayed as heroic.
So they felt like the film glossed over some important ethical issues.
It seems like they wanted the film to grapple with the bigger questions,
Yeah.
not just deliver a fast-paced thrill ride.
Makes sense.
And that same reviewer also had an issue with Bradley Cooper's casting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they felt he wasn't the ideal choice for the role.
Interesting. It's amazing how perceptions of acting can be so subjective.
It really is what one person finds brilliant, another might find unconvincing.
And then we have this other review that takes a completely different angle.
Okay.
They called Limitless a reflection of the shallow American dream.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
It is.
It suggests a deeper critique.
Yeah, they're connecting it to larger societal values and anxieties.
It's like the film is saying something about the pursuit of success at any cost.
And the emptiness that can come with achieving material wealth without genuine fulfillment.
There's a lot to unpack there.
There is.
It really highlights how a seemingly straightforward thriller
Yeah.
can actually spark these deeper conversations about who we are and what we value. But before we get too lost in philosophical ponderings,
Right.
let's bring it back to the pure cinematic experience.
Sounds good.
One reviewer specifically mentioned how much they enjoyed watching Limitless on Blu-ray,
Oh, okay.
praising the visual quality and how the film's style really came to life on a high-definition screen.
I mean, it makes sense. A film with such striking visuals would benefit from a high-quality viewing experience.
Definitely.
And this reviewer also noted how the film resonated with them personally.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as someone who has experience with pill addiction,
Oh, wow.
they felt the film accurately portrayed both the allure and the dangers of seeking that quick-fix solution to life's problems.
That's powerful. It shows how a film, even one with fantastical elements,
Right.
can still connect with viewers on a very personal level.
It's a reminder that beneath the surface of any film, there are layers of meaning, interpretation just waiting to be discovered.
That's a great point, and it leads us perfectly into the rest of our deep dive.
Okay, I'm ready for more.
Wow. It's amazing how many different perspectives we're getting just from these IMDb reviews.
It's like everyone walked out of the theater with a different version of Limitless in their heads.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to the power of film, to spark these diverse reactions.
It's not a passive medium.
Yeah.
It really engages with our own individual experiences.
Our beliefs.
Our anxieties.
Yeah, and with a film like Limitless, with its exploration of ambition,
The dark side of
it
success.
seems to really hit a nerve with viewers.
It does. It really makes you think about what you would do in that situation.
And we've got people comparing it to superhero stories,
Right.
talking about the moral complexities.
Even tying it back to the American dream.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here.
There is, and I think it shows that the film works on these different levels. On the surface, it's this stylish thriller with this captivating premise
But then underneath there are all these layers of meaning,
that viewers can kind of unpack and interpret.
based on their own unique perspective.
Exactly.
One thing that keeps popping up in these reviews is this whole idea of ambition and the desire for self-improvement.
I mean, it's central to the plot, right?
Right. Eddie's transformation is the driving force, but it also seems to tap into this very human desire to reach our full potential.
Definitely. It presents this classic what-if cinema.
Right.
What if you could just suddenly become the best version of yourself?
It's a fantasy that I think resonates with a lot of us.
Especially in a society that's obsessed with self-improvement.
Always striving for more,
Maximizing productivity.
optimizing our routines.
Achieving peak performance.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And Limitless takes that concept to the extreme.
And shows us the potential downsides.
Right. We see Eddie struggle with addiction.
Make reckless choices, even endanger those around him.
Yeah, it's a cautionary tale.
Showing that ambition unchecked can have some pretty serious consequences.
Which brings us to another theme that's woven throughout these reviews.
Oh yeah, what's that?
The nature of identity.
Ooh, that's a good one.
If you change so drastically so quick.
Are you still the same person?
Right. And that's the million-dollar question.
It is.
And it's one that a lot of reviewers are wrestling with.
Some see Eddie's transformation as a positive thing.
Like a way to break free from their limitations.
But others question whether he loses something essential along the way.
A part of himself.
Exactly.
It's almost like the film is asking us to consider the price of progress.
The sacrifices we're willing to make.
Is there a point where self-improvement becomes self-betrayal?
That's deep.
It is. And it's not just about individual identity either.
Right, there are also the moral implications.
Of such a drastic change.
Some viewers were willing to overlook Eddie's questionable actions.
Because they were ultimately for a greater good.
But others found those actions disturbing no matter the outcome.
Yeah, the film definitely doesn't shy away from those moral gray areas.
It makes you question your own beliefs about ambition, success, and what's acceptable.
And it forces us to confront those tough questions head on.
Yeah.
It's not just giving us easy answers.
It's making us think critically about the choices we make.
And the consequences of our actions.
Exactly. And that brings us back to that review that called Limitless, a reflection of the shallow American dream.
Right. What a statement.
It is, but I think it's relevant.
given everything we've been talking about.
They seem to be suggesting that the film is actually critiquing this relentless pursuit of material success.
And those empty promises of self-improvement.
Yeah, it adds another layer of complexity to the film.
It's like the film is holding up a mirror to our culture.
And forcing us to confront our own values.
And aspirations.
Yeah. But let's not forget about the actual filmmaking itself.
Right, we've talked a lot about the themes, the ideas.
But there's also the craft.
The technical aspects.
Several reviewers praised those elements.
The cinematography, the editing, the music.
They all play a crucial role in shaping our experience.
One review specifically mentioned the fast-paced editing.
The zooming camera work.
The fitting soundtrack.
They said these techniques actually mimic Eddie's heightened mental state on NZT-48.
It's like the filmmaking is reflecting his experience.
Letting us feel what he's feeling.
And another reviewer compared it to Match Point.
Really?
Yeah, which is known for its visually stunning storytelling.
I could see that.
They felt like Limitless uses a similar approach.
To create this atmosphere of tension and intrigue.
So it's more than just a simple thriller.
Right, there's real artistry there.
And that artistry enhances the themes and ideas.
It's all connected.
So Limitless isn't just a fun movie with a cool concept.
There's a lot more going on beneath the surface.
It's a film that has clearly resonated with people in different ways.
It has. We've seen such a range of reactions.
From superhero origin story to a reflection of societal values.
It's all about perspective.
What resonates with one person might not resonate with another.
And that's the beauty of film.
It sparks these conversations.
Yeah.
Makes us think about ourselves and the world in new ways. You know, it's funny how we can watch a film and not even realize how those little technical details,
Yeah.
the things we don't even really think about, can actually really change how we see the whole story.
It's true. Like they say, the best technique is the one you don't notice.
Right.
When everything's working together.
Yeah.
It's the cinematography, the editing, the music.
Just all flows.
We're just drawn into the world of the film.
And in Limitless, so many reviewers brought those elements up.
Yeah, as major strengths.
And I found this one review that was really interesting.
Okay.
They talked about the fast-paced editing, dynamic camera work, and that driving soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
And they said it was like those choices actually mimic Eddie's state of mind.
When he's on the NZT-48.
Exactly, like we're experiencing the world through his eyes
Wow.
because of the way the film is made.
That's really cool.
Right. And then there was another reviewer who brought up Match Point, and they were comparing the visual storytelling.
You know, that makes sense. Match Point is beautifully shot.
It is, and they felt like Limitless had a similar approach.
Using the camera work and the editing to really create the atmosphere.
Yeah, all that tension and intrigue.
It sounds like Limitless is more than just a fun action flick.
Right. There's a real artistry there.
And it elevates the themes and the ideas.
So it's not just style over substance.
No, it's all working together.
And speaking of style,
Yeah.
I thought this was interesting.
Uh-huh.
One reviewer pointed out how the color changes throughout the film.
Oh, really?
As Eddie gets smarter and his world expands,
Yeah.
the colors get more vibrant.
Huh. I didn't even notice that.
It's subtle, but it's there.
Wow. So his heightened senses are affecting how he sees the world.
And the film reflects that visually.
It's like a visual metaphor.
Right.
That's really clever.
And it shows how those little details can have a big impact.
Yeah, without us even realizing it.
It's all part of the art of filmmaking.
Creating this experience that really draws you in.
And Limitless definitely does that.
It blends those thought-provoking themes with compelling performances and then the stylish visuals on top of it all.
And it's clearly resonated with audiences.
Yeah, we've seen such a range of reactions to this film.
Some people loved it, some people hated it.
But everyone's talking about it.
And it's a good reminder that film is subjective.
What speaks to one person
Might not speak to another.
And that's what makes these deep dives so interesting.
Right. We're not just summarizing a plot.
We're exploring how it connects with people.
And those connections can be really powerful.
Like that review we talked about from the person who had experience with addiction.
They really felt like Limitless captured that struggle.
The allure and the danger.
Searching for that quick fix.
Yeah, and it shows how film can speak to our own personal experiences.
Even if it's a sci-fi thriller.
Right. There's always something deeper there if you look for it.
So for anyone who hasn't seen Limitless,
Yeah.
what do you think? Should they check it out?
Absolutely. It's a film that deserves to be seen.
Yeah.
You know, you might love it, you might hate it.
But it will make you think.
And that's what good films do.
So on that note, I'll leave you with one final question.
Okay.
If NZT-48 existed,
Yeah.
would you take it?
Oh, that's a tough one.
What benefits would you hope to achieve?
And what risks would you be willing to take?
That's something to think about.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Limitless.
It's been fun.
It has. We've explored so many different facets of this film.
From the technical aspects to the philosophical questions.
And who knows, maybe this will inspire you to take your own leap.
Yeah.
Even if it's just revisiting a film you thought you knew.
Always good to see things with fresh eyes.
All right, well, that's it for today's deep dive.
Until next time.